still there though, I think.
We were invited to
All
right.
chanting stuff.
Could we acknowledge ourselves for showing up and bringing energy to the room? For being here in the first place. It's so good to have another opportunity to remind myself of what it is I need to learn. Remember, we're just here to remember. We're here to remember. Yeah, we're just here to remember. So to kind of warm us up, what I'd like to do is the steps to awakening on the sheet that I gave you. And when we get to the parts that's underlined, then I'd like those who feel like saying it with aliveness and enthusiasm to say it. And those who just feel like listening, listen. And that's cool. That way whoever is speaking will have a lot of energy with me, because I know it's the end of the day. And you got one there?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay. So let's take a deep breath. And let's remember that, do you know that you need not believe it, you need not accept it, you need not believe it, you need not accept it, you need not welcome it, you need not welcome it, you need not believe it, you need not accept it. Some of the ideas you might actively resist, some of the ideas you may actively resist, some of the ideas you may actively resist, some of the ideas you may actively resist. Did I say some of the ideas you may actively resist? Some of the ideas you might find hard to believe. Some of the ideas might be quite startling. But we're not being asked to spend the hour analyzing the ideas. We're being asked to use the ideas. And it says that the use of the ideas will show us that they're true. That statement has much more meaning to me than ever before in my life. The use of the ideas will show me that the ideas will show me that they are true. It's not up to me to do it. So if you want this to be easy, then, like he says in the Course in Miracles, whatever your reaction to the ideas may be, use them. So even if I don't believe it, even if I don't understand it, even if I don't like it, I just use it. And what I've noticed is that it works. Even if I don't believe it. Which I think if there's an infinite intelligence behind the universe, then there would be a curriculum for even people who don't believe it and is confused and has resistance. And it would also be an easy path.
Yeah.
Spirit is so smart, then Spirit said, okay, just stay that way.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Just stay that way. Keep on don't believe it. It's okay if you don't accept it. It's okay if you don't welcome it. But can you say what you don't believe?
Sure.
Sure we can. So we can say stuff that we don't believe. So that's essentially what we're being asked to do. It says whatever your reaction to the ideas may be, use them. It's the same as saying, say it whether you believe it or not. Say it whether you accept it or not. Because what you're doing is making a symbolic gesture to show your willingness to receive from the Holy Spirit. And that's all the Spirit is asking for us to do, is just to turn in the direction of the answer. And the stuff we do at the physical level are just symbolic gestures. They don't really make it happen. But what they do is allow it to happen. So just us being here is symbolic of our willingness to heal. And the Course in Miracles defines healing as the undoing of fear, which I think is interesting, because I used to think healing meant, some kind of physical thing you put on something that you just cut yourself or whatever. But actually, healing is the undoing of fear. It's having your fear undone. All forms of healing is the undoing of fear. Okay, so here we go. The steps to awakening. The first step in awakening is to allow into the mind this little axiom of truth. Nothing that I experience is caused by anything outside of me. I experience only the effects of my own choice. Breathe. You need to come to the point where you say to yourself, I have done this to myself. I did it. I must correct it. No one is to blame. The world is innocent. One more time. I have done this to myself. I did it. I must correct it. No one is to blame. The world is innocent. Take a breath.
Yeah.
Next one. The truth is true always. So, not my will, but thine be done, for I can do nothing. Not my will, but thine be done, for I can do nothing. But the Creator does all things through me. The Creator does all things through me. The Creator does all things through me. Rest assured, whenever you feel frustration and anxiety, whenever you feel frustration and anxiety, it is because you have decided not to trust the truth. I said again, whenever you're going through frustration and anxiety, it's not really about the thing you think it's about in the outer world. It just means in that moment you're not trusting the truth. And the truth is simply this. Only my Creator's plan for my happiness will work. What?
Yeah.
Only my Creator's plan for my happiness will work. So only God's plan for salvation will work. And what God's plan is, according to the Course in Miracles, is for you to ask 4 questions, right? What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? So I like to say, who would you have me say it to? Right. So really, when I used to ask, what is the divine plan? What is the divine plan? I thought it was this real complicated thing. And the divine plan, Joker, is for you to ask the divine. Oh, thank you. That sounds pretty simple and doable. You mean God's plan is for me to ask God? Yes, that's the divine plan. But that presupposes that God exists. That's what used to drive me crazy about the Course in Miracles. It would always talk as if there was an infinite intelligence that actually was behind things that I could actually talk to. It would say stuff like, ask. And then I realized that I didn't have as much faith as I thought I did. What I was doing was studying metaphysical and spiritual truth so that I could give myself more information for me to handle things on my own better. And I call that enlightenment. You know, but actually it's endarkenment.
Endarkenment.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You know, because truth that you don't use becomes a burden, and it also becomes something that your own ego uses against you. If for no other reason than to say, you know, you ought to be further along than you are, and you ought to be doing better than you are, because you got all this information about what you should be doing, but you know you're not doing it. Where if you didn't even have the information, you wouldn't even have the guilt. So to be continually giving yourself a lot of truth that you don't use, it becomes a burden that your ego will use against you. So it'd be better not to even read it if you're not going to do it. It requires great humility to accept the first step on the path. I have done all this. I must undo it, but I have no idea how I did this. Therefore, I must surrender to something else. I've done all this, I must undo it, but I don't have any idea how I did this. Therefore, I must surrender to something else. And what is that something else? That's right, it's the Creator, it's the source. It's whatever words you want to use. I like God. If you want to use the universe, the infinite is, the all that was, the light, the whatever, you know, just anything that's more than your ego would be great. If you would create well, these are the questions that you ask. Only what? What am I committed to communicating? What will my creations express? What will my creations convey to others? For what I seek to convey reveals what I believe is the truth of myself and to the world. I like that what I seek to convey reveals what I believe is the truth. What I seek to convey is what I believe is the truth of myself and to the world. Understand well the way of the heart, and this came from the way of mastery. The way of the heart requires that you allow yourself to rest in the simplicity of truth. And I love this. I am pure spirit, undefiled and unaffected by anything or anyone. I am given full power to choose and therefore to create my experience as I would have it be. Say it again. I am pure spirit, undefiled and unaffected by anything or anyone. I am given full power to choose and therefore to create my experience as I would have it be. So I have full power to choose is the ability to create your experience as you would have it be. It's the same thing. I am pure spirit. What does that mean? I am undefiled and unaffected by anything or anyone. If I'm pure spirit, I'm unaffected and undefiled by anything or anyone. And since I've been given full power to choose, then that means I have been given full power to create my experience as I would have it be. And the Course in Miracles says the only power that we have left We're down to the last power in our bag. You know what I'm saying? I'm down to my last power. You know, it's like your last roll of toilet paper. I'm down to my last power, which is what? The power to decide, the power to choose.
Wow.
That's the power we have. We have the power to choose. So we've been going through Freedom of the Body on page 208 in the Course of Love. And I'm going to start with paragraph 23:15 from the Course of Love. It says, obviously, your belief in who and what you are is the basis for your entire foundation. A foundation previously built on fear. So your belief in who and what you are is the basis of your entire foundation. So my entire foundation in this reality is based on my belief in who I am or what I am. And all of my needs are based on whatever I believe I am. The needs that a fearful person would think they would have is very different from the needs that a fearless person would think they would have. A being that thought that they were a body would have different needs from a being that knew they were just pure spirit and not a body. The needs that you would think you have if you're a woman and you believe you're a woman would be different from the needs you think you'd have if you were a man. The needs you think you would have if you were single would be different from the needs you think you had if you were in a partnership. So notice that as soon as you come up with a belief about what you are or who you are, there's a whole line of needs that go with those beliefs. Okay? And so, and those foundations were previously built on fear, which meant that we previously believed that the world basically was a place that we had to defend ourselves against the unknown and somehow protect ourselves from the unknown. And so it says clearly belief in the body was easily translated into a belief in the validity of fear. Yeah, if I believe I'm a body, it's easy for me to become afraid because it seems like I got to cross Colfax. And crossing Colfax with a body, that street would kind of bring up some fear. You know what I'm saying? The minute I think I'm a body, then I think I'm prey to disease, or I might be prey to something, attack, or all the different things that I think that go on in the world. So the belief that you are a body easily leads to the validity of fear. If you think you're a body, then it seems like it's valid that you should have some fears. Okay? Notice that when I read a sentence and then I say it back, and I'm essentially saying the same thing the sentence said, we get it. That's because we joined on the idea. Because at that point, everybody was joined on the idea, then we hear it. Because it's just about remembering it. And then it says, when you are free of this misperception, what is the misperception that you have to be free of? The idea that you are a body and that that's all you are. It certainly feels like I'm this body because I have the two main things to convince me that I'm a body, which are what? Pleasure and pain. Those are the two things that convince you that you're a body. Either something's feeling real, real good, or we think something's not feeling real good. So both of those feelings, the Course, they are exactly the same feeling because they have the same purpose. So there really isn't a difference between pleasure or pain if both of them are going to convince you in the validity that you're just a physical body and not a spiritual being that's undefiled and beyond harm. So I'm a spiritual being who's identifying with the physical body, believing that I am the physical body because of pleasure and pain, love and fear, resistance and willingness. There's only two things we're feeling, love or fear. Love is willingness, fear is resistance. So we're only feeling willingness or resistance. Willingness to have abundance or resistance to my abundance. What's cool about calling it willingness or resistance is that you're still recognizing that it exists. So if I had resistance to my abundance, then I'm still acknowledging that I have abundance. If I have willingness for my abundance, I'm still acknowledging that I have abundance. So when you look at things as willingness or resistance, it actually gives you a cooler perception of how to deal with it. Saying that I'm resisting love makes me believe that love is there, I just need to let go of my resistance. But when I act like it doesn't exist at all and I'm trying to make it exist, that's the most fearful state. And most people are trying to achieve things based on the idea that it's lacking. I don't have it, and I'm finna go out here and get it. It's different from it's already there, and I am trying to let go of the fear and the blocks and the resistance to having it. Yes.
Something that is sort of cool, well, it's really cool, that goes along with what you just said, and also up 2 paragraphs more where it says, it will change the world. I wrote, it has changed my world.
Cool.
3, how long did you get your fox painting? 6 months ago? Okay, 6 months ago, Jeff and Laura got this really cool fox painting. I loved it.
Fox painting?
Fox painting.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful fox painting. And, you know, every Thursday night we go over there, and there's that beautiful fox painting that right above the couch. It just sort of brings the whole, everything together. And 3 months later, Jeff shoots me this email, and there's another fox painting. Cool. I'm going, can never afford that. I'll never have that. And I went, well, you know what? I saved it on my desktop, on my laptop at work. So every morning when I go in, there's that fox painting.
Oh, cool.
And I enjoy it. I love it. You know, it's sort of a, I don't know, it was sort of a family thing, kind of. And guess what I have today? My fox painting sitting over there.
That's yours?
That's my fox
That big, huge, awesome painting is
my
yours?
fox painting, yeah, yeah. And what was so cool was that I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to make that happen. It happened. You know, it was something that I enjoyed. I loved. I wanted it, but it wasn't like, you know, I have to go out and get it, or, you know, I'll never have it, or I will have it, or it just was. I enjoyed it on my laptop when I, you know, boot up my computer.
I'm telling you, if you can want something and desire something intensely and don't be attached to the outcome,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
amazing how fast it will show up in your life.
And then I'll
Yeah,
take it
so-
one step further.
Yeah.
I need about $500 to go to Santa Fe in a couple weeks to do something I need to do.
Mhm.
And I was like, huh, it'll just happen. I just stayed quiet. And now it's like, oh, cool. Then I can go to Santa Fe. I didn't have to worry about it. It was so great.
Because she's so well in the painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like, so it's just, it's like this.
Yeah.
It's like this.
I know.
It's amazing to me.
Like I love the line the Course in Miracles says, the way is not hard, it's just very different.
Yeah.
You know, it's not hard, it's just different.
It's just different. Yeah, just don't have to worry about it.
So the next paragraph says, now, when you are free of this misperception, what misperception that you are a body? This inaccurate belief, I love it, this inaccurate belief, your body will be free of this misperception. What misperception? That I am a body. Then your body will be free. It will no longer be an object of use, but a means of service. So freeing the body means that the body is something that you're using to serve your joy and your peace, instead of it being something. Would you ask them to kind of quiet it down a little bit, or just tell them we hear them really loud downstairs?
You guys shut up.
When you are free of this misperception, this inaccurate belief, your body will be freed. It will no longer be an object of use, but a means of service. It will no longer be an object of use, but a means of service. No longer an object of use. See, right now we're just trying to use our body, which is different from using your body as a means of serving. And there's only really one service, the service of love, the service of peace. So freeing your perception from your nearly immutable belief in form will allow for all changes in form required by the miracle. Okay, so the Course is saying if you want to change in form of what's going on in your life, which is required by the miracle, then you have to free your perception from having this immutable belief that form is what's real, as opposed to the mind and the thought and the content being what's real. So when you really want to see form change really quickly, you must recognize that form is not real, because form changes. All form changes. My body doesn't look the way it did when I was 10 years old. All form changes, but I'm essentially the same consciousness and the same mind that I was when I was 10 years old. I just have more experience in the world. But you know what I mean? It's almost like you stay the same and you watch everything change around you when you switch to a content-oriented reality as opposed to a form-oriented reality. Now it's more like I am, and then I'm watching everything change, including my body. So as you lose the belief that you are form, then all the changes you would like to see in form happen faster. You know, I can enjoy being a man by having the belief that I'm more than that, so then I won't take it so seriously. You see what I'm saying? It's like the minute you break body identification, then everything you do in the body becomes a lot easier. All right. Freeing your perception from your nearly immutable belief in form will allow for all changes in form required by the miracle. Form is not a constant. Form is a result. So the physical is a result. So if that's true, your body is a result. And your body is a result of the idea of separation. Because if you're going to be separate, you have to have something to be separate in and with. So the body came from the idea of separation. If I want to have the idea that I'm different from you, then I have to have a body that looks different from you. So you're looking at the result of an idea. You're looking at the result of a wish that every one of us has. Nobody stuck us in the body. Nobody forced us in the body. We wanted to have this experience. We wanted to have this experience. We wanted to have this experience. And then we came up with the stupidest idea on earth. Guilt and sin, right? So we want to give ourselves this experience. This is another way for us to practice our creativity. And what do? We threw in the fearful part of our mind, made up this idea of guilt and sin. So rather than enjoying the physical experience that we're giving ourselves as children of God, instead of enjoying this opportunity to be creative in a new way, we're spending most of our time trying to get rid of feelings and guilt and anger about one thing or another. So instead of enjoying myself, I'm busy having to try to forgive myself about one thing or another all the time. So it's a trick, y'all. It's a trick, y'all. It's a trick. The whole guilt sin thing is just a trick to keep you from enjoying the experiment that you set up for yourself, which was to see how many ways you could allow love to be expressed here and now. Yeah.
I find it an awfully cool experience that we are different looking in the dream.
Right, that's
Does
what
that
I
make
was saying.
sense?
Well, that's what I was saying. It becomes our individual special function. It's like originally the idea of being separate was to make us think we were separate from God. The Holy Spirit.
Okay, so we can look at each other and see differences in us in the three-dimensional dream form,
Right.
And enjoy it and see and pleasure in it, but not take it to the degree where we're judging each other because we're different, because we're different looking.
Right.
Is what you're saying, right?
Right.
I just
Right.
keep clarifying.
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's like anything we use for separation, love is going to use for union. So if we come up with the idea of being separate to be separate, well then, if we change our mind, the Spirit's going to use the idea of being separate to join all of us. But I got my unique piece of the puzzle. You got your unique piece of the puzzle. We each bringing our own individual expression of love into this experience, so then we can have fun with the diversity instead of thinking that means something's wrong with us because we're seeing each other as different. Now it can be simply our own special function, our own special way for God's love to come into our experience in its own unique way, which is really cool because, number one, it gets rid of the idea of competition. There's no competition in reality because there's nobody else that is expressed in just the same unique form that you are. So there's no competition. And also it allows us not to judge each other because we would start being excited about the surprises and possibilities that we could experience through each other that we would normally never think of. Whenever I meet somebody, the first thing I tell myself, especially if I'm going to get close to them in any way, I tell myself, I'm getting ready to enter a world. Each person to me is a world. They are a door. They are a portal. And I know if I get to know this person, they're going to do one thing that everybody that I've ever gotten to know has done. They've always said or done something that I wouldn't have thought of. They always bring up something, or they'll tell me something that they like to do, or something that they're thinking, and I go, wow, I never would have thought of that. Like, for instance, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't see the fox painting. You know what I'm saying? So your unique ability as an artist, right, which is nothing but my unique ability as an artist, because there's just one of us here, And so we just look like it's a bunch of us, but it's just one of us here expressing ourselves in unique ways. Well, I wouldn't have seen that had I not had a relationship with you. I wouldn't be looking at that painting in that way. You know what I'm saying? So each one of us has a gift. But I don't know if y'all remember a few weeks ago in the course of love, it said that what we do is we try to make other people us. And I thought that was so, in other words, when people talk about the ideal relationship, what they're really trying to do is make the other person exactly like them. So the ideal person would be somebody who would do whatever I wanted them to do, right? Okay, well then that's, that would be me trying to make them out of me.
Yeah.
And what I think I want and what I am. So you don't really get the magic until you stop trying to control people. Because at that point you get a chance to see who they are and not who you're projecting them to be for your own personal needs. The Course in Miracles says that the only reason why people seem different is because of your own personal needs. You have different needs for different people, and that's what makes them seem different. There are things you need from one person that you think you don't need from another person. Well, that now you made them different. I need her for pie, and I need her for cake. Okay, really, you were the same until I made up a need that I needed you for. And as soon as I made up a different need, then you became two different people. But what if I was to walk into every situation and have the same need in every situation with everybody in that situation? First of all, I wouldn't have to figure out what to do in every situation, which that would in itself would be a relaxation, not to have to figure out what to do in every situation. In other words, we were told that in every situation that you go in, the purpose of it is to show the person what you are and what they are to you. I said, wow, that's deep. That really, if I'm in this room, I'm just here to show you who I am, which is love, and who you are to me, which should be love. That's really what, now, that can be done with all of you equally. That can be done without even your cooperation. That's how I know it must be true. Because anything that's true, you can always do it right now. Anything that's not true, it takes time.
That's cool.
Tell me what it takes time to do, and you just told me what the illusion is. Tell me what you can do right now, and we're looking at the reality of this moment. So right now, I could show up as the love that I am for you, and right now, I could see you as love. Right now. I could see you as me right now. I could see you as creating your reality and me creating my reality right now. See, everything that's real, you can do it now. Anything your ego wants, it's going to take time. Always. Somebody at the hand up back there first. Okay.
Oh, this might be dumb, but do we choose our bodies?
Can't prove it, but yes, I believe we do.
Because if it's all an illusion, like when I go to sleep at night and have what I think is a dream.
Just like this one is.
Yeah, it's like part of my mind working. So if this is a dream, part of me created this, right? For some.
We certainly choose our perception of how we look.
Well, at this level, like the safest thing you can say at this level is that you are choosing how you're choosing to see everything right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, at another level, which I believe in, but I can't prove. I believe if you have choice, you've always had choice, you've always had choice, you've always had choice, you always had choice. So if I have choice now, why wouldn't I have choice about this?
Right.
See, if it's all choice, then that answers that question. Even if I don't realize how I did it, some part of me must have chose to be here right now and to have this experience. And if I look at it that way, but it makes me feel more peaceful if I feel like I'm here by choice. And it was set up for me to win. By win, I mean it was set up for me to know the love that I am. See, we have to understand there's no possibility that we're not going to succeed in recognizing our oneness and our peace. That's not an option. Because that would be like saying the Creator would fail. So yeah, we're going to all turn out all right. We already all right, we just don't know it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just let go of the fact that there's any possibility that you're not going to experience eternal joy. It ain't gonna happen. You are gonna have it.
All right.
No matter how hard you try to see it otherwise, you will end up happy and in peace. I'm sorry, but it is going to occur. Okay. I'm gonna do a 2-minute analogy that I think is really great that will help bring home what I'm saying. You go to the amusement park, you get on a roller coaster together. About 10 of you all. You all get in there and the roller coaster takes off, and then some people on the roller coaster are absolutely screaming their heads off in terror. And then there are some people on the roller coaster go, they're just having a great time. It's the greatest thrill they could have ever had. They're both on the same roller coaster, right? And at the end of the ride, you end up where? exactly where you started. Okay, so the only thing that you needed to do was to change your perception of the ride.
Yeah.
Right? So that you could be saying yay just like everybody else because you all on the same ride and you're going to all end up in the same place.
Right.
So are you screaming on the roller coaster of your life? Or are you feeling really happy about the roller coaster of your life right now?
Sure
You know,
it is.
because books like A Course of Love and books like A Course in Miracles, they're just there to give you a new perception of the roller coaster ride.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So when you study this stuff, it's like if you can see yourself on a roller coaster, the guy sitting next to you going, say this does not mean anything. You are
Don't worry about it.
God's will for you on this roller coaster ride is perfect happiness, you know. And so that maybe somewhere on the ride you'll start going, you know, because whether you in first class of the jet or whether you in coach, you still end up at the same destination at the same time. The only difference is how you experience the ride.
Yeah.
And that's what these books are about, how you experience the ride. You own the ride. When you were born, that was like you getting on the roller coaster. It was a total commitment. The once it takes off, that's what I like about flying, is that when you take off, you know you've made a total commitment. you know it. You know, the part of you knows you just made a total commitment now. So either you can watch the movie or you can be freaking out in the chair. But you made a total commitment. Okay, so when you were born, you made a total commitment.
Yeah.
To come into this experience and to have this experience, and it's only two kinds you're going to have: an experience of fear or an experience of love. And these books are telling us how to have the experience of love and peace, more so than trying to tell us how to manifest stuff. So because there's a point on your spiritual path where you realize it's not about the manifesting stuff at all. Even though you go through the stage of manifesting stuff, for you to get to the point that you learn it's not about manifesting stuff. So until you do it and see that it doesn't make you happy in and of itself, then you'll continue to be this person that thinks when you get the money, when you get the house, when you get the person, when you get to this, when you get to that, then you're going to be happy. So it's okay that if you have that kind of perception that you can pursue your dream and then see yourself have the new set for you to act out your play on. Because that's all physical manifestation is. The creation of a prop, the creation of a set, like a movie set, that you're going to act out your own psychological, spiritual issues in. So yes, could you act out your need to forgive your father in a mansion? Yes, you could. Could you do it in a hut? Yes, you could. Those are just sets. But you're going to, in the end, have to change and transform your psychological and mental perception of what's going on if you're going to have peace. Could you ride the roller coaster in St. Louis? Yes. Could you ride the roller coaster in Washington, D.C.? Yes. Okay, so the only thing that matters then is what's the lesson you're going to learn in Washington or you're going to learn here. Y'all get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So don't sweat it about, is it okay to manifest money? Is it okay to manifest a house? Is it okay to manifest? That's just like saying, is it okay to have this prop for this set? Is it okay to put this chair on stage? Is it okay for me to put this car on? Of course it is. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing. Everything in the world is neutral. It doesn't matter. So get over it. It's not about, is it okay to have wealth? Is it okay to have a special relationship? Is it okay? It's like, no, those are just your props for you to learn that you're one with God and that you're peaceful. And so that's it. So take away the sweat of it. You had your hand up next.
Yeah, so you were talking about like, what's the truth? You can have it right now.
Yeah, if it's the truth, you can have it right now.
What's ego-based takes time.
What's ego-based takes time.
Well, so like I'm having an experience right now where I'm having some ego issues come up, and I don't want to repeat the same experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been like I even have my lesson here. I'm a little behind, but I have my lesson that says my salvation cannot come from any of these things. My salvation comes from me and only from me. So I've been saying that. I was saying that yesterday, you know, so that I wouldn't repeat the same experiment. And then I was even praying that prayer. I give the question to the Holy Spirit as part of myself, because I recognize, I know that she won't be free unless I want to use her to imprison myself.
That's right.
In the name of my freedom, I choose her release, because I recognize that we'll both be released together.
Right.
And so I've been doing that, and the same experiment's happening again, and I feel powerless. I feel like I'm bound. I feel like I'm watching the same movie, and I know what's gonna happen, and I'm powerless to stop it. But the course tells me that no, I have the choice, and so And so then I get like really frustrated because then I'm trying to figure this out, and then I'm like, no, that's me being Virgo, and I just have to not figure it out. And so then I pray to God, well, God.
Well, that's it. The problem is that you're a Virgo. That's the whole problem, man. You're a Virgo. No, I'm just going off. I'm just joking with you. It's like, being a Virgo is neutral. You can have fun. First of all, I kind of get the drift of what you're saying. And first of all, realize that you're not handling it the same way you handled it before. You're not handling it the same way that you handled it before, because now you're trying to apply the truth in the situation this time. Where in the past, I bet you didn't say what you just got through saying and repeating the truth to yourself.
No,
right.
no, I didn't.
Okay, so you really are not doing it the same way you did it before. Also, the fact that you can even say you see your pattern means that you're going beyond your pattern, because when a person is trapped by their pattern, they don't know they have it, and they project on everybody else what's going on. And you didn't do either one of those. You said, I'm looking at it and I see where I'm getting ready to do it again, and I'm trying to apply the truth to it. Well, and remember this too, it said, whatever your reaction to the ideas may be, use them. So your depression or your feeling of weakness or your feeling of that's just your reaction to the idea. So we've already been told, whatever your reaction to the idea is, use the idea. So maybe you're having an idea in your mind about, that while you were doing this, you ought to be feeling good all the time. Or you ought to be feeling, well, forget that. Forget that. And I've said that to you before, and I've said it to everybody in here. If you think you're going to get to peace and always feel peace on the way to peace, you're being completely unrealistic about the spiritual path. And it's your ego that's trying to make you believe that what you're doing isn't cool and that you're not headed in the right direction. The best thing you can do for yourself is to make it okay for you to go through the disorientation and confusion that you go through when you're in a transition. It's like, it's funny, it's like almost anything else I do, I'm willing to accept the learning curve of I might have to study a bit to learn how to pass my SAT. And nobody thinks that's weird. But the minute people get on the spiritual path and they hear the thought peace, or they hear the thought love, or they hear the thought, at that point they think from everything should always feel good, that they're not going to go through the stress of learning, that they're not going to go through the stress of disorientation, where if you were to go ahead and listen to what Jesus said in the Course, for instance, when it says doubt will come and go again. It's right there in the book. You're going to have doubts that come and go and come and go. Okay. So now I'm choosing to change my mind, and I've been told I'm going to have doubts and they're going to come and go. So when I have doubts, then I can say, I can incorporate that in my path and go, hey, that's part of my path. The doubt coming and going, I was told that I'm going to go through this. So I just go ahead and feel it, not resist it, not judge it, and it will pass through me, and it will eventually I will get to the love that's behind the fear. So if you would just let yourself have all your feelings without judging them as good or bad, then whatever the sense of powerlessness and depression that you think you're going through will change rapidly. It's the thinking that you shouldn't be feeling it and thinking that you're doing something wrong or you're failing that's locking that feeling into place, which is the purpose of the ego, is to lock you into those old ways of looking at things. So just don't fall for it by not getting upset about getting upset, not getting depressed about getting depressed, not getting angry at yourself about getting angry. In other words, could you make it okay for you to feel what you feel as part of the path for you right now? Chris, you're not going to feel good and peaceful all the time on the way to changing your mind. It's not going to happen. Okay, listen to me. You're going to have feelings of disorientation and confusion and doubt. And if you were to say, I'm going through the feelings of disorientation, confusion, and doubt, what a great creation. It's just another expression of the way that I express myself. When I'm saying this to you with total calmness, and sometimes I forget too. So always remember, whatever I'm telling you with absolute confidence, I don't practice all the time. Okay, just want to be everybody clear about this.
Very clear about that.
I do not practice the truth all the time. It's 1 minute a week that I don't. And other than that, I'm cool. But I'm telling you, it's so important because whether you realize it or not, you brought this up several times. Okay, you've asked me this question many times. And the gift I'd like to give you is the acceptance of yourself just as you are. Just as you are. You don't have to change to something else and then be acceptable.
Well, and I've been praying to God. God, help me receive the truth. Help me receive your awakening the way I am right now.
Right. And then, so the reflection is coming back through me and through everybody around you that we're totally willing to accept you as you are right now. Will you accept you as you are right now?
So this is where you need to take a big breath
Mm-hmm.
and say thank you.
I know you're triple Virgo. I know I'm asking hard stuff. I know it. If you're an astrologer, I know I'm asking the supreme. But I'm telling you, everybody with me on this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to go to the next level, we're going to have to stop judging our feelings
Right.
and allow ourselves to have them. And that's why I like the Course. That's why I love what the Course in Miracles says. See it as love or a call for love. So I'm either feeling love or I'm feeling a call for love. So what you're feeling is a call for love. That doubt, that depression, that sense of powerlessness, turn it into a prayer. It's now your prayer. It's now your call for God. It is your call for love.
Oh.
And just think about that. If you took all the feelings that you have that don't feel really, really good, and you saw them as a call for love, a call for God, a call for peace, you'd be praying all day. And then you'd be getting the results all day. Take that so-called negative emotion and turn it into something that's actually bringing you what you want. How do you turn the negative, so-called negative emotion into something that brings you what you want? You reinterpret what it is. You give it a new meaning. So now I don't feel guilty. I feel deep calls for innocence. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't feel afraid. I feel deep calls for love. Now I don't feel sick. If I got a stomach ache, I go, oh my God, I got this really deep request for health right now. See, that's the difference.
So what do you do with it?
The first thing, see, the thing to keep in mind is this. When I share with you a perception, you have to realize that the truth is about new perceptions, not new behaviors, not new doings, new ways of looking at things. And so we're so used to doing that even when someone gives us the answer, we act like there's something they're supposed to do. But the truth is, how many times have you looked at what you do all day as a call for love? You just heard me say that. And then the next thing was what's next? Well, what's next is to do that. What's next is all day long. If you have to say it 100,000 times an hour, this is a call for God. This is a call for love. This is a call for love. My boss is a call for love. These people at work are a call for love. My coworkers are a call for love. This person that just walked down in front of me when I was driving down the street is a call for love. This bill I think I can't pay is a call for love. So when you get to the point that the first thing you do is you call it a call for love, then you are changing your mind and you're doing the symbolic gestures that will make the difference in your life. Because
it's not your job to answer the call for love.
It's your answer. It's your job to have the correct perception. It's your job to learn how to see things differently. And we don't even have to figure that out. See, it's already here. Every book that we read, every truth book that we read, the only thing the truth books that we're reading, the only thing they're doing is giving us new ways of interpreting our experience. But we're so used to behavioral changes that we don't get that. And so we always think it's got to be deeper than that. It's got to be more than that. No, only perception can be wrong. So only perception needs to be corrected. Oh, but those of us, we are humans, we think, and we out in the world, and we got to make it, and it's a struggle, and you got to work hard. So when someone says, if you would just change your interpretation, it would change your whole life, it's hard for us to do it. But why? Because it's something we could do right now. You could see everything that's going on in your life right now as a call for love, Chris, regardless of how you feel. You could say it's a call for love. Each one of us could say what we don't believe necessarily, say what we don't feel necessarily. So how do you know it's the truth? Because you know you could do it right now. How do you know you're trying to keep yourself from changing? Because you're trying to get me to tell you things that you need to do in the future.
Wait, can you repeat that?
Yeah. How do you know there's a part of you that's defending against the change? It's the part of you that wants me to tell you what to do in the future or how to behave in the future, rather than tell yourself it's your call for love, it's your call for God. If I change my perception of form, then everything will change. If I let go of the idea that I'm just a body, then I can start having the miracles. You know, how do I let go of the idea that I'm a body? I have to remind myself that I am more than a body. Just like I learned I was a body because that was repeated over and over and over again. See, we want the truth to happen without saying it. It's pretty funny. It's like we want the truth to happen without saying it, without thinking it, and without applying it repeatedly. It's like if I got up in the morning and I took one breath for the whole day. Of course that wouldn't work. I got to breathe moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. I got to take a breath for this instant, a breath for that instant, a breath for that instant. Okay, then I'm in this instant that I want to be safe, right? So I need to practice the truth when? Now, okay, now the next instant comes up out of that. When do I need to, if I want to be safe in that instant, what did I do? Now. So you're applying the truth when? All the day long, not 7 o'clock in the morning and say, I said my workbook lesson with absolutely no energy and enthusiasm. One time, the entire day, and I'm expecting my entire life to change in 24 hours. But all day long, I'm hearing, there's a tornado that wiped out 248 people over here. There's 14,000 people that died in Japan. There's a blight over here. There's a disease over here. There's an attack over here. There's a victim over. So all day long, we're getting total repetition of victim consciousness, victim consciousness, victim consciousness, victim consciousness, repetition, 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 to the point that I think I am a victim, right? But then how do I get the idea that I'm spirit, I'm undefiled, that I cannot be harmed? Just like what I said at the beginning, you got to say it. I am pure spirit. I'm really undefiled. I'm unaffected by anything or anyone. I've been given the power to choose in this situation with my mama. I've been given the power to choose in this situation with my job. I've been given the power to choose in this situation with my child. I've been given the power to choose in this situation, and therefore I can create my experience as I would have it be. So I've got to say that over and over again, just like I'm hearing the crap that I tell myself through everything in the world over and over again. The difference is the truth works faster, and the truth is more powerful. So 10 seconds of truth is equal to like years of ego, because it's the truth. It's the truth. Yes.
So then this feeling of like terror that I have, it's like a monster. It's like this feeling of terror that's telling me, you're gonna repeat the same experience.
Chris, stop! Stop! You're doing the same thing. You're doing exactly the same thing again. I love you. Stop. 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 Stop telling yourself the same thing over and over again.
So then just tell them that I have the power to choose something different.
But yeah, what you want to do is feel the feeling. So you're still acting like there's something wrong with you having the fear, or that there's something wrong with you being powerless, or there's something. All those feelings are innocent. What you want to do is continue to do what you're already doing, because you're already doing the right thing. That's why your ego is resisting so hard. That's why it's trying to get you to stop, because you are actually applying it. The fact I can't tell you how seldom in all the years I've ever taught that I had somebody say, I just ran down that prayer, I give you to the Holy Spirit's part of myself, I know you ran out. That doesn't ever happen. Okay, I'm telling you, I've been doing this 30 years. I can count the number of times with one hand that somebody said what you just said. Asked a question and actually said something from the truth that they were actually doing to change it. You know, so you are already applying the truth at a level beyond most people that I ever teach. All you have to do is keep doing it. You don't breathe for one time for the day. So you got to keep on telling yourself the truth all the time, right? Right? And because you are doing it, is why the defense is coming up so strong, because you are doing it. That's why. So your ego's like, damn, he's going to get away. He's going to get away. I got to crucify him. I got to make him think he's the craziest. Nothing is working for him at all. Quick, let's call in the reinforcements. Because you are doing stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. You're doing it. That's why you're freaking out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're doing it. There's no way a person, in my perception, can truly be applying the truth and don't go through disorientation and confusion. There's no way to me that somebody can actually hear what the truth is saying and have no reaction to it. You can't hear the kind of stuff that we're reading and really hear it and be totally calm. You can't hear, you're not a body. You create everything that happens to you. You're an unlimited spiritual being who lives forever and be. Like you hear that every day. You haven't heard it yet. And definitely you haven't tried to apply it yet. Because if you try to apply it in the world, then you see all the resistance you create to changing that idea. It's easy to think it and never try to do it. But like you said, we're here to love everybody. Try it and see how that flies in your personal relationships. Try it. Because most people's idea of love involves the body, and they don't realize to love somebody, you don't have to do anything that ultimately involves the body at all. So loving everybody is not hard. Being special with everybody is hard.
Right.
And so people get that confused. Specialness is hard. Love is easy because love does not make any demands, any commands, trying to control, trying to do any of the stuff we do. But what we do is we take the specialness and call it love. And then we freak out. See, it'd be much more honest for a person to go, you know what, I have a need to be special to somebody, and I'm going to go out here and I'm going to see if I can get the specialness that I deserve to have. You'll probably get it just like that because you're in a world where everybody wants it, so you got a huge possibility that you're going to meet somebody else that wants it. So anybody that wants to be special in the world, you should be in heaven because this is the place where everybody wants to be special. So if you want specialness, this is the place to be. You know, if you want love unconditionally that's equally shared with everybody, this ain't the place to be. This is you made the wrong turn back there at Guilt Avenue. You know what I'm saying? This ain't the place that everybody, this is the place where we single people out for our love. So the course works with that. So it says, okay, if you single someone out, then we will allow that person to be the person that you can learn what true love means through. So you get a chance to have your specialness and you also get a chance to wake up. Everybody wins. Because it's not possible on the physical level to have a relationship with everybody. So he says there'll be certain relationships that will be held out to you as an opportunity to learn what love is. So that took care of my need to have somebody that feels real special about me and to remember what the truth is. Win-win. It's going to always be a win-win with the truth. That's how you know it's the truth. If you walk away and it looks like anybody lost, you're not looking at it correctly. Like, for instance, when I saw those homes devastated by the tornadoes on the news today, then it was like an opportunity to practice seeing it as a call for love, practice seeing that, you know, I really don't perceive their own best interests. They don't really perceive their own best interests, you know. It's like, in other words, those are the real life situations that you're supposed to apply the truth to. And I tell you, think about this. It's a lot easier to practice the truth on people that you don't know. In other words, you can be more detached about somebody who you don't know how's being taken away. I don't care how compassionate you think you are, you're going to be more detached about somebody you don't know losing a child than somebody you do know. So if you can practice the truth on the people you don't know, then you are preparing yourself to be able to handle practicing the truth when it's situations that are special and that are personal to you. The transition of my sister was a great example of that. For years, I have been practicing the idea that we are more than a body, that we're really spirit, that we are eternal. And when I would see somebody that supposedly died, I would remind myself, like from the Course, there is no death, the child of God is free, or that they're not their body, they're free, that they didn't really die. Why? Because I didn't know them, so it was easier for me to see it correctly for them. But what I was really doing was repeating the truth to myself, building my own truth muscle. So when I got the news that my own sister had made her transition in a house fire, which was devastating emotionally in that moment, I still had built up this truth muscle that helped me see it another way a lot sooner than I could have had I never practiced it. So me personally, I don't avoid the things that's happening in the world. I look at the news, or I read the newspaper, I look at anything and then use it as an opportunity for me to practice applying the truth, so that when something comes close to home, I've already had some experience with seeing things that way. But if I'm busy pretending that nothing ever happens, then when it shows up, I'm not equipped emotionally, spiritually, or mentally to handle it when it shows up. And that's why a lot of truth students freak out when something happens to them. Because they've been busy pretending that there isn't anything going on in the world other than their own perceived perception of it's all positive and it's all cool. You know, and what you're really saying that for is because it has not affected you at a personal level. Somebody can always be more spiritual about my issues than they can be about their own. So it's easy for somebody to look at me and say, well, you know, it's for the best. You know, your sister wasn't really a body, and she's really going to another place. You know, it's like, yeah, that's not your sister. So that's why you can quote the chorus so easily, because you're the same person I saw freaking out about somebody taking your parking space yesterday. Right. So I know if you're freaking out about a parking space, you're not ready for your sister to go up in the flames. But our ego is like, you know what I'm saying? It plays games like that. Because I can be strong about somebody else's so-called tragedy. It trips me into thinking I have really achieved high spiritual consciousness. But it's not until you can laugh at your own stuff that you got it. Now, when your house gets taken by a tornado and you can go, oh, it's in my own best interest. Everything's fine. I do not consider my own best interest. This just means God is bringing me something back. And you really mean that, then you can safely assume you must be getting it. You know, but if you can say that about somebody else's house, it's just you really practicing. And that's good to practice. You're really being given a blessing. You're being given an opportunity. And then that soul is so powerful, they were willing to have that experience to benefit everybody. And then we have the news so that everybody can get the lesson.
Oh, cool.
That's why the news, okay, lesson for today called NBC News with Brian Williams. This is your opportunity to see if you really can see this as a call for love and a dream. Here's a list of things. Can you see the stuff that's going on in Syria as a call for God? Okay, then if it ever happened close to you, then you would see it differently. Deep, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now, y'all. We're at that point where we got to live it. We got to walk it now. It's not going to work anymore to keep on philosophizing and just pretending. It's like now is the time. We're going into an accelerated speed up right now. When the course was first dictated, they were told that we were going into a celestial speed up. And that was why the Course in Miracles, for instance, was channeled. And that celestial speed up is happening. The time between thinking something and seeing it is shortening faster, and everything is happening faster and faster and faster. And what it's doing is getting us to the point that we will say what the Course says we should say, which is, there must be a better way.
Yes.
That's what everything is doing. It's getting us to the point that we're gonna want to throw out the whole system because we go, that system doesn't work anymore. So we're going to have to choose something totally different. And so we've seen the flaws. Everything is being revealed because of cameras and internet and all this stuff. Nothing's hidden like it used to be. Everything is being, think about it. We are really in an age of open communication where there are not that many private thoughts, where you really do see things that are going on the other side of the world. Psychically, that is a reflection of what's happening in our own minds. Our minds are joining. We are losing our private thoughts. We are beginning to connect in ways that we never dreamed of, and it's being reflected in our technology, which is a reflection of our level of consciousness. That's why the judgment has to stop, because you're going to be seeing too much stuff. And if you stop and judge all of it, you're going to throw yourself into suicidal tendencies and depression. That's where you're going. With all this stuff being revealed, and you a judger, and where you used to just have to judge your personal family because there wasn't a lot of communication 200 years ago, so you didn't know what was going on the other side of the world. Now you know what's going on everywhere. So therefore, we have to stop judging if we're going to have any peace. We have to give ourselves another way to look at it if we're going to have peace. We are forcing ourselves to have love now. We're no longer kidding around. We have really decided that we're going to wake up, and we're not holding no prisoners right now.
Right.
We really aren't. And those of us who are waking up already, we get up and we say, God, live your life through me today. Love, live your life through me today. Spirit, live your life through me today. Consciousness, live your life through me. That which is love, freedom, truth, use me. See, that's the conscious person's prayer. The conscious person is saying, let me be a vehicle for an awareness and a love that's greater than me. It's not really trying to work on the set anymore. It wants to play that it doesn't get killed in the third act.
Yeah.
In a very pretty set. You decide, I'm gonna rewrite this. Oh yeah, the relationships will never work. Never being satisfied with what I do. Let me rewrite this. Better yet, let the master screenplay writer write. I'm gonna admit I wrote the script I didn't like, and I'm gonna ask the part of me that's God to start writing the script that I would like. It's the smart person's prayer. That's what you do when you wake up. You just want to get out the way. You're not trying to figure it out anymore. So acknowledge yourself for showing up. All right. we're gonna do the love offering. I really appreciate your generosity. It means a lot to me. What happens from doing it is that what I've learned is that what happens with the internet is that you attract people who just like people who come to a class over a period of time because they feel like you're really meeting the need the way they need it met. And then from the internet, it's sort of like the same thing where the way you do it, you absolutely attract the people who love the way you do it. And then there's no censorship. Like here, there's censorship to a certain extent. So I'm also I censor myself, not anybody. But church, quote unquote, spiritual environments normally create a mindset that says this is allowable, this isn't. This is proper, this isn't. So I don't really feel sometimes free to communicate the way that I would like to, simply because of the mental attitudes that sometimes we get when we think we're in a spiritual environment about what's okay to say and what's not okay to say. So it's interesting to have a medium like the internet where honestly I could say anything I wanted to say any way I wanted to say it, provided I was not seeking approval and willing to be myself. Because the people who would not appreciate the way that I do it would simply not watch me.
Right.
And the people that would be glad, and then you end up with a group of people who want you to be yourself. And then the people who wouldn't want you to be yourself, well, they think they are hurting you by rejecting you. But the truth is, what they're doing is absolutely freeing you to finally enjoy your life because they're taking themselves out of your experience. You know, so, and then since I don't have a desire to be famous anymore, I feel even freer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you let go of the need for fame or specialness or for any number, in other words, to be acceptable to everyone. You know, because in order to be acceptable to everyone, you got to really dilute what you're saying.
Yep.
You can't tell the truth and appeal to the masses. It doesn't happen that way. You got to always take it down to maybe the level of a 12-year-old child, or be talked to at the level of a 11 or 12-year-old child. But the people who are most fulfilled might be having 10 people, but it's 10 people who they really can be themselves with and really learn and teach with. And that's what I want. Just like I feel like I'm blessed to have in this room, but I feel like it's going to happen even more because I've made the decision to be more authentic than I've ever been in my life and just see who shows up and see who runs. And they're in both ways are innocent because sometimes I show up and sometimes I run. There are some people that I resonate with and I want to be around them more, and some people that I don't, and I move away from. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. But you got to be willing for people to do that with you, for you to ever show up as to be who you are. You know, you'll always be surrounded by people that you have to think before you speak. And that's your red flag. If you're surrounded by people that every time you get ready to say something, you think if it's going to be the proper thing to say, or are they going to misperceive it, or are they going to attack you for it, you might be not hanging around the right folk. Because the people that you are the safest with are people that you feel like you can do unlimited communication without fear. And the ones that you don't think are safe are the ones you're most afraid of being judged by what you say or do, so therefore you hide who you are.
It's called your
And you don't
family.
express it. In most cases, it is. That's where people, the people who usually know the least about us are our families, if we be honest about it. They're usually the ones that we still kind of play the role that we played when we were still there with them, even if that was like, you know, think about it. Most of us didn't even live with our families for very long. I mean, you really think about it. I think about that I actually lived with my family until I was 18. And I think about how much older I am than that. And so I really didn't have a lot of time with my family, but they still, in a lot of ways, think of me as the same person that they were with, and I act like it. Mm-hmm. And I'll find myself learning now to just come, to show up, to give and receive love, and not make it about whether or not we intellectually are able to see eye to eye and communicate. That's an ego trick. Yeah, it's really not. It doesn't even matter whether you all see eye to eye and can intellectually communicate about the same thing. The only thing that matters is, are you coming there to bring peace in the experience? Are you going to show up as peace in the experience, or are you going to be someone that's fueling the conflict? Because, like the Course says, recognize what does not matter. I love that line. Mm-hmm. Recognize what doesn't matter. So it really doesn't matter to me now whether, as much as it used to, whether or not anybody understands me, or whether or not they see things the way I see it, or whether they agree, or their opinions. And not because I got up in the morning and go, I'm not going to let what people say matter. It just, as you accept the truth for yourself, it just is a natural way you become, is the best way I can put it. As you know what's right for you, then it doesn't matter to you so much whether anybody else agrees with it or not. You know, if you discover what works for you, then you just go ahead and live it and do it. And nobody can change your mind about something that works, but anybody can change your mind when you're not sure. You see, if you don't know where your path or direction, you're like a, you know, like a leaf in the wind. But because of the Course of Love, the Course of Miracles, and things like that, I'm pretty sure what works for me. And I tell people that this is what works for me. I'm not saying it works for you or that it should work for you, but this is what works for me. So now I find that I don't tell people what I'm going to do. I do it first. Then I say what I did. Yeah, it's the other way around. It's like, oh, okay, this guidance feels good. Like when I went overseas and stuff. What it did for me was it proved what the Course in other metaphysical books have taught you about. You meet you everywhere you go because it's your own consciousness. And that's the thing that's been blowing my mind, is that no matter where I go, I attract the same kind of people who are usually open, loving, fun, have a little taste of buck wildness to them. You know, like to play. Like I didn't meet what people would call the typical Brits. I didn't meet those people. The Brits that I met was bumping their booties in the class just like people would here if we were playing. You know, and then I'm glad you came here to help me do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like wherever I would go, it would be like the same energy coming at me, but with different accents and different voices. So you really do take you wherever you go. So there's nothing more important than developing the consciousness that you would like to meet. The consciousness that you would like to meet. Well, it used to be there's a kind of body I want to meet, a kind of form I want to meet. Now it's a kind of mind I want to meet. There's a kind of, then I have to be it to have it. So the minute you say you're going to be it, then everything in you that's unlike that comes up to be dealt with. So the minute I made that commitment, I saw my ego in ways I've never seen my ego in my life in the last year. Wow. Like when I made that commitment, it was like, okay, let's go to work now. And I'm going to show you how crazy you are. And what's in you that needs to be changed, released, forgiven. And so I had the same challenge you had. As I would see my own ego come up, would I crucify myself or would I forgive myself? Would I say it's part of my process of learning? Or would I spend all my time feeling like, I ought to be further along than this after all these years? I should be going through this. You see what I mean? Yeah. So be gentle. Be gentle. Be gentle with yourself. Okay? Be gentle with yourself.
You got it.
Appreciate y'all. Awesome beings of God. So, I say it again. I don't leave until the 11th. Okay, so I will be here next week. Yes.
Cool.
Okay? All right. Hugs are available.
Mercy.
Yeah.
Did you read the stuff, right?